And we are back in Norman, Oklahoma at the famed Lloyd Noble Center on the campus of Oklahoma University, where tonight we complete the quarterfinals of our middle and welterweight tournaments. It is the Bellator Fighting Championships, where fighters become warriors and warriors become legends. Of course, by the end of tonight, our field of 32 tournament fighters will be trimmed down to the final 16. We take a look at the bracket at 170 pounds. As you see there, Lyman Good, Jorge Ortiz, and Omar De La Cruz have already moved on. So who will join them in the final four? Will it be Norman Parisi or the former UFC champion, Dave Menne? With that, we look at the middleweight tournament here. Two guys punched their tickets a week ago. The final two quarterfinals tonight, you've got Alex Andrade against Damian Stelly, and Daniel Tabera takes on the Oklahoman in Jared Hess. John Anik and Jason Chambers cage side once again in Norman, Oklahoma, and Jason 185 pounds. The focus once again tonight. What are your expectations headed into the cage?
Well, I think that there's a bunch of guys now vying for this last spot in the tournament, but the guy that I'm going to keep my eye on is actually an underdog in this, is Dave Menne, former UFC middleweight champion, getting back on the winning streak here. He's got over 60 fights, and he's hungry, and man, this guy deserves to win. All
right, let's get to the action. We begin with a special feature attraction. So the welterweight and middleweight tournaments continue tonight, but now we look back at some results in the featherweight portion of the bracket. Tijuana's Jair Reyes taking on Nick Gonzalez, and to the surprise of many cage side in Hollywood, Florida, Jair Reyes locks in on the rear naked choke in the first round. Ghostbuster Jair Reyes moving on to the semifinals as Gonzalez is sent packing. Also at a $145, Luis Palomino. A lot of expectations against Esteban Payan. Some thought it might be a fight of the night. Didn't turn out that way. Round one was a good one for Payan. He sort of stepped back from the aggression in rounds 2 and 3, but still Payan does enough. He gets the split decision victory. Meantime, many thought Joe Soto might have an experience disadvantage against Vancouver's Ben Greer, but it was all about the hammer as Joe Soto stayed undefeated. He's been all about the first round finish in his career. Another first round finish for Joe Soto as Ben Greer is ousted. And last week, the final spot in the semifinals, actually 2 weeks ago, determined between Wilson Hayes and Henry Martinez. Wilson Hayes struggled in the first round, turned it on in rounds 2 and 3, and Wilson Hayes, still undefeated, controls things down the stretch. He is on to the final four. So now we look at the updated bracket in the featherweight division. Fellow unbeatens Joe Soto and Wilson Hayes will meet in one semifinal, and in the other should be a very intriguing matchup at 145 between Jair Reyes and Esteban Payan. Now we continue with the action. Bellator 4 at the Lloyd Noble Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Jason Norwood against John Kirk, and Jason Norwood, really a great story for Jason. It is all about his Army background.
The modern Army combatives plan, universal fight plan, is to close the distance, gain a dominant body position, and finish your opponent. And that works on every level of fighting, whether it be in the most practical laboratory we have for fighting, the cage, or whether it be in a battle time environment where you need to win to survive. And that's how I execute all my fight plans. It's all the same. Close the distance aggressively, gain a dominant body position, finish the opponent.
Well, I don't know if I was more impressed this week with his intelligence or his confidence. Jason Norwood out of Lawton, Oklahoma, originally from New Jersey, with a huge opportunity here tonight.
Yeah, and has tons of his fellow Army guys here with him, so he's got a big team behind him. Everybody wants to see him do well, including himself. Using that modern Army combatives, I'm looking forward to how that translates into mixed martial arts. Clearly with a 5-1 record, so far so good.
Yeah, he honed his skills at Fort Sill, where he's now a combative instructor. He's never been stopped in 6 career fights. Comes in with a 5-fight winning streak. Lost his debut by unanimous decision to Leo Pla, and it was an interesting story. And I didn't think it was an excuse. He says he was misinformed on his opponent's style, thought he was facing a kickboxer, I believe. That wasn't the case, and really was up against it after the first round, eventually loses to Leo Pla. Now he's coming off a win over fellow Bellator middleweight Joey Gorzinski. He beat him with a rear naked choke at the freestyle cage fighting event in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And this is a guy who I got my eyes on, this Jason Norwood. I really liked meeting him this week. Really an impressive individual. And I like his fight plan. His opponent is John Kirk, and he's a tall dude, man.
I plan on winning this fight with strikes to my opponent, with the referee stopping it, and then giving the crowd a backflip. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, John Kirk all fired up, 6 foot 2 inches. Jason, not surprisingly, says he has a reach advantage against most of his opponents in the middleweight division.
You know, I don't think 6'2" in the middleweight division is really that tall. I mean, it's tall if you're in the featherweight division, that's for sure. But there's guys that are 6'3", 6'4", that are lightweights. But obviously here against Jason Norwood being 5'9", and John Kirk coming in at 6'2", he's going to have a reach advantage. Now, whether or not he's able to exploit that before Norwood can close the distance in that combative way is yet to be seen.
John Kirk fighting out of Houston, Texas. I guess if you heard it there from Chambers, he's not tall for a middleweight. Either way, he's lost 4 of his last 6. Began his career 10-1. Really a gifted striker, though, here, a Muay Thai background. And despite that resume, 7 submission victories. Probably one of the more striking statistics I saw when I was breaking this guy down. Despite the fact that he's a striker, has found success with the submissions once in the cage. A couple appearances under the Elite XC banner, a loss to Yosmani Kazebas, a guy who moved on last week.
You get a cookie for pronouncing that right, man.
I don't know if I did. Also a loss to Matt Lucas for Elite XC by unanimous decision. So a disappointing run for him under Elite XC. He's hoping things go better for the Bellator Fighting Championships. All right, we got to send it inside. The voice of the circle, Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, este combate está pactado a 3 asaltos en la división peso mediano. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout, 3 rounds of MMA action in the middleweight division. Los jueces son, the judges are Nick Atwood, Bobby Higdon y Jim Lambert. El referee, Kevin Nix. Presentando la esquina azul, introducing the blue corner. Vestido de negro con color amarillo. He steps into the ring wearing black trimmed in yellow. Un especialista en técnicas modernas de combate militar con un récord profesional de 5 victorias y 1 derrota. He is a specialist in modern army combatives with an MMA record of 5 victories and 1 lone defeat, representando las Fuerzas Armadas, representing the armed forces. Fort Sill, Oklahoma. GI Jason Norwood. Y en la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de negro con color blanco. He steps into the ring wearing black trimmed in white. Su peso oficial, 186 libras. His official weight, 186 pounds. Un especialista en boxeo tailandés con un récord profesional de 13 victorias y 5 derrotas. He is a Muay Thai fighter with an MMA record of 13 victories along with 5 defeats. Representing De Leon Fight Club, Houston, Texas, John El Jaguar Kirk.
Fire, center the ring. Fire, center the ring. All right, gentlemen, I expect a good, clean fight. No fouls. Touch gloves, be warriors. Judges ready?
So Jason Norwood against John Kirk. Norwood indeed is Army strong. Such an impressive individual. Not really a whole lot of weaknesses in his game. Does have the wrestling background. Wrestled in high school and also at West Point. But wouldn't be surprised, Jay, to see a submission here either.
Ooh, that was kind of a quick touch gloves kick you. That's why they say protect yourselves at all times. Oh, Matt Hughes style double, but took him into the fence. Needs to turn the corner. Boom.
Well, Jason Norwood showing off those wrestling credentials here off the bat.
Yeah, right away.
And the strength, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the things that you have to look at is guys that are shorter and more compact, their body type just tends to lend itself more to wrestling because your center of gravity is lower and you're able to get lower position underneath your opponent to get those double legs.
And again, we talk about the intellectual approach for Jason Norwood. We're doing our pre-fight interviews, and Norwood literally is creeping over as we're interviewing John Kirk, trying to get any last-minute insight into his opponent. Really interesting to get a chance to see Jason Norwood and meet him earlier this week.
He was doing some reconnaissance surveillance.
That he was, man, absolutely.
All's fair in love and war, right?
Yeah, not where John Kirk wants to be early on.
You know, I'm really looking for Norwood here to create some space, posture up, throw some punches, advance your position. For him to advance now, I need to pass the guard of John Kirk. You see John Kirk holding the head of Norwood down. That usually is indicative of setting up a submission and arm bar, trying to work some positions so that he's not able to get up. Using the fence to get up there a little bit. Norwood stays on him.
Yeah, Kirk able to get up, but he eats a knee in the process. And again, Kirk trying to get into a decent Muay Thai clinch position here so he can inflict some damage. Yeah, easier said than done, though, against an ox like Norwood.
Yeah, John Kirk needs to use that right arm and whizzer. He's just going to give up his back to Norwood. Norwood throws a little leg trip in here. The right knee could be the end of Kirk's night. Oh, and there's the back. Said you got to throw that whizzer in, or you're just giving up your back. You see Jason Norwood jumping on the back now. He's got to bring his hips around the top to really get on the back, and his hips are on top. Let's see if he gets his hooks in now. He needs to get his right hook in, left hook in. Although he's got that choke, he doesn't have a lot of leverage on it.
Well, when I saw this matchup on paper, I thought it might have fight of the night written on it, but at least so far it's been one-sided.
Oh, that choke is in deep. I saw a little glimpse of Kirk's face, and it looked like he was struggling. Oh, that's in pretty deep. He's going to keep squeezing. If he got his hooks in, oh, he let go of it. If he needs to get his hooks in there and really create a little extra leverage on that choke, I think he would have had it.
A little surprised that Kirk was able to escape the fight end there.
Good exchange by both men. You see Kirk trying to work that Muay Thai clinch, just reaching out, trying to grab the head, and that just opens up the shot and the big double leg.
And how about the brute strength? The U.S. Armed Forces, the U.S. Army enjoying every minute of that. Jason Norwood taking Kirk down with ease.
Norwood applied a beautiful double leg there. Got a lot of height and distance on that, too. Sometimes you see guys kind of scramble and the takedown comes off a knee tap or something, but not in this case. Jason Norwood able to get his hips underneath and lift Kirk up, turn the corner there, and use his head to dump into the canvas. Now he just needs to work out out a full guard here.
Well, you knew John Kirk would be game. Obviously not how he forecasted things going in the first round as he eats some more ground and pound from Norwood. Also do want to point out this is an alternate fight in the middleweight division, so neither of these guys competing in the tournament, but were an injury to occur at 185, the winner of this fight would have a chance to find themselves in the tournament. So a lot at stake here, not to mention that you got the entire Bellator brass watching exactly what's going on.
There you go. There you go. There you go. 50 seconds work.
You hear the crowd chanting for Jason. They want him to make a little progress here. Jason's trying to pass guard. Looks like he's almost fully passed, but Kirk's going to try to recompose and use his right leg to... If he had chances to, he could have used his right leg to put him back in half guard, but Norwood, in like a wrestling scarf position, then moves back into cross side.
Well, we go under 20 seconds to go in the opening round, and you have to think Kirk has exhausted a lot of energy just staying in this fight on his back.
Yeah, Jason Norwood clearly more dominant on the ground. I think it's going to stay this way unless we can get something else going.
And how about the flurry from Jason Norwood at the end of round one? We'll see if he can finish things off in round two. All right, so now ready for round number two, Jason Norwood and John Kirk. Quickly, though, let's look back at round one, Jay, how Norwood got it going.
Yeah, it looked like Kirk committed to the punches. Norwood just changed his level and got underneath it. And you see him lift him up against the fence there and drop that beautiful double leg.
All right, so now we get underway with the second stanza. All Norwood in the first 5 minutes, and he'll be looking to continue the momentum in round two. And right away, he's got Kirk back on his back.
Yeah, I can't tell you how frustrating that is when you keep getting taken down and you can't stop it. That's really when you see someone imposing their will, is taking you down. Boxing is one thing when you're standing up. It's kind of this agreement, I'm going to punch you, you're going to punch me. But when you get taken down, that's someone else physically controlling your body.
Right.
It can be frustrating, especially when you haven't found an answer yet, like John Kirk has, to how do you get this guy off of me? The answer is jiu-jitsu lessons.
There you go. How about that, right?
Jiu-jitsu lessons.
John Kirk trying to avoid a 5th loss in 7 fights here, and not going so well as Jason Norwood does some damage to the body there with the knees.
Yeah, knees to the body are a lot like the roundhouse kicks to the leg. Over time, those are going to add up. They're great for the judges. They're going to see you're busy, you're working. But,
sure.
You know, a lot of times guys use those just to make the guy in the bottom move. It's pretty easy for the guy in the bottom just to kind of clamp up and not do anything and minimize damage. But if you want to open him up and look for submissions, as you can clearly see Jason Norwood does as he works into mount here, 6, 7 left hands. He's going to try to come around the back now, and he's got one hook in. He needs to get his right leg over and get his other hook in, really secure that back mount position.
Well, John Kirk showing off the chin a little bit, but you might be looking at a 10-8 round here through about a minute and 40 seconds.
Oh, Jason Norwood's got that rear naked in. It's deep. It's deep. He needs to get a little more leverage and come off of the back more. But that is pretty deep. Oh, it's all over.
And John Kirk taps out, much to the happiness of the United States Army. The Armed Forces well represented here in Norman, Oklahoma. Jason Norwood getting the victory with the rear naked choke there. And what a dominant performance for Jason Norwood in his Bellator debut. Another disappointing setback for John Kirk, and he looks like he got the wrong end of things. Wow.
He looks like he ate about 24 or 25, if I count right, left hands from Norwood, but that happens. This is mixed martial arts.
And Norwood really showing off his versatility, doing a lot of damage there with the ground and pound. A devastating striker, but the minute there's an opening and Kirk gave up his back, he goes for the submission and is able to execute.
Yeah, even though, like I said, this is mixed martial arts and everybody cross-trains, people tend to come from a background in something that they're stronger in, and this is a pretty clear-cut example of Kirk being a striker and Norwood being more of a grappler. Kirk wanted to stand, Norwood got in for some double legs.
Well, Jason Norwood, a name in the middleweight division that I'll be keeping my eyes on. Again, we mentioned he's an alternate. Maybe this win will get him in the tournament.
Well, right here you see Jason Norwood has the over-under on the back, works himself into the back position there, needs to get his right hook in while he's simultaneously trying to work the choke on Kirk. Right here he's getting his left hand secured underneath the chin, extending his hips and cutting off the carotid artery. Then he finally cinches it up, puts his left hand on the bicep. You can see how deep that is. Last effort to defend that by Kirk. He just switches over to the hammer fist grip, and that's all she wrote.
Kirk certainly a competitive guy, wasn't going to give up, but just too much Jason Norwood here tonight in Norman, Oklahoma. And Jason Norwood absolutely ecstatic with the victory. So is the United States Army and their representatives on hand here at Oklahoma University. Let's send it inside. Lupe Contreras has the official decision.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación mata León, obliga a la esquina roja que se rinda con un tiempo oficial de 1 minuto 51 segundos del segundo asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a rear naked choke obligates the blue corner to tap out with an official time of 1 minute 51 seconds of round number 2. Your winner, by way of submission, el vencedor por sumisión, G.I. Jason Norwood.
So Jason Norwood, maybe a name you hear a lot from. He runs his winning streak to 6 straight, and impressive in doing so. We're going to take one more look here, Jason Chambers, at the end of the fight as Jason Norwood just relentless down the stretch, and we mentioned the versatility, showing it off here.
Yeah, you can't really see it from this angle, but right now he's got his left hand around his chin. He's got a nice deep choke. Just extends his hips and locks it in.
All right, so coming up next, we get to the middleweight tournament. Damian Stelly, you see there, will take on Alex Andrade. We are back to OU right after this. And the tournament action continues shortly, but now we look at what went down in the quarterfinals of our lightweight division. Toby Imada and Alonzo Martinez in a matchup of veterans, but one-sided. Imada showing off his versatility, and he makes quick work of Zo Diddy Martinez. Eventually finished things off with the rear naked choke in round number 1. Toby Imada, a name to keep an eye on at 145. 155, also at a $155. Eddie Alvarez taking on the Irishman Greg Loughran, and to the surprise of many, Alvarez gets stung early and goes down, but then he shows you exactly why he's one of the best in the world. Alvarez eventually works into the guillotine along the cage, good for the first true submission victory of his career. Meantime, another favorite at 155, Jorge Masvidal taking on Nick Aguilar, and Masvidal had little trouble in bouncing Aguilar from the tournament. You see him pounce on Aguilar early, eventually finishes things off with his signature vicious ground and pound. Jorge Masvidal $25,000 richer, and moving on to the lightweight semifinals. And the last spot in our Final Four was up for grabs between Eric Reynolds and the veteran Thomas Schulte. And despite perhaps tapping early on, Reynolds fighting off several submission attempts in the early going, eventually stuns Schulte, who goes down, and Eric Reynolds moving on with the knockout victory, the upset win over Thomas Schulte. So we've got plenty of star power remaining in the lightweight semifinals. It'll be a case of ask and you shall receive, or perhaps be careful what you wish for, as Eric Reynolds indeed gets Eddie Alvarez in what should be an all-out stand-up war. And then Jorge Masvidal also gets a stiff test in the form of the versatile and underrated Toby Imada. All right, so now we continue with quarterfinal action in the middleweight division. First, we hear from Alex Andrade. He's rededicated to becoming a world champion against Damian Stelly. A good matchup here. One guy will move on to the middleweight semifinals. Again, you control your own destiny here in the Bellator tournament. Andrade and Stelly meeting here at a $185. First, we hear from Andrade.
The reason that I came back to the sports, because one day we were watching the reality show, the UFC reality show, and I called Trey and I said, "Look, man, those guys, I could hang with those guys. I mean, I'm 5 years off. I was still training."
And I said, "Alex, you can be better than any of us. There's no doubt in my mind." I said, "But you've got to get with the right people. We've got to make it all about you now."
I did take a 5-year layoff because it wasn't organized like it was now. You know, they would give us a 2-week notice, 1-week notice. And then sometimes you're fighting, and sometimes you're not fighting, and, you know, I need to make a living. You know, I'm a professional trainer. I help people out, you know, with exercise and so forth. And at the time to get ready for a fight, I had to let go of, you know, couldn't train people, and you know, I was training myself for the fight. And then when the fights would get canceled, I wasn't getting compensated, you know. And got my whole team back together. So now my whole team got Travis Lutter, Kenny McClure for jiu-jitsu, Kenny Monday for wrestling, Phil Sawyer for boxing, Trey and Jason House, and they all helped me out with my Thai boxing too.
They're about to see what his skills are about to come. I think people are going to see some really good things from him this year.
So a career that began in Moscow in 1995, then took 5 years off. That career resumes tonight in the Bellator cage for Alex Andrade.
Yeah, coming in at 34 years old, a lot of the competitors we've seen in Bellator getting a start in a mixed martial art career a little bit older than a lot of the guys we've seen in other organizations, a little more experienced in other aspects of their martial arts career, bringing a little bit more mental edge into the game.
Well, Andrade returned from that 5-year hiatus in 2007. He's gone 4-1 since. The only loss to Krzysztof Szczynski, now with the Ultimate Fighting Championships. Was actually disqualified in a Ring of Combat event for accidental strikes to the groin. But Andrade, really a great camp, now trains with the Trelex fight team that he co-founded with Trey Telligman, formerly of the UFC as well. Travis Lutter, Guy Mesger, just a lot of guys helping Andrade as he sort of tries to return to a championship level in mixed martial arts. One appearance in the UFC at UFC 26 in June of 2000. He was disqualified in that one, a loss to Amari Bittatetti.
Yeah, speaking of losses, he actually has one really big name on his record that he lost to. If people are mixed martial art fans, you'll hear of a guy named Ninja Murillo Hua, who he fought in Pride in 2001. And to get into an organization like Pride, much like Bellator, you have to have yourself established outside before we give you a chance in here.
Do you see his manager there, Trey Telligman, who he opened the gym with, a guy who fought in the UFC. Just a tremendous corner for Alex Andrade, and it'll be interesting to see if that helps him tonight against Damian Stelly, who's got obvious parallels here between the Army and mixed martial arts.
Here at Combatives, we really rely on one phrase. It's the defining characteristic of a warrior is his willingness to close with the enemy. And I mean, that right there just totally applies to MMA and fighting. The willingness for you to get in there and get in that fight, that makes you a warrior. Not all the titles you win or all the how great of a fighter you are. Starting off amateur fighting, no experience. He's a warrior because he's getting in there and he's closing with the enemy. You kind of aren't very sure about what's going to happen, the outcome. You do your job and you do your best to do it, and that's what we do in the Army. You got to be willing to go through that door and seize the enemy. There's not a whole lot of things in the Army that test courage next to the battlefield. It does, as far as hand-to-hand combat, it doesn't get as real doing anything else. That's as real as it gets.
So James Damian Stelly making his way to the Bellator cage for the first time, 8-2 in his career. Of course, a huge following here tonight from the United States Army, and this guy's wrestling credentials, Jay, really off the charts.
Yeah, he's a fantastic wrestler. He's got 5 wins by submission, 3 knockouts, so he's able to mix it up. And actually, ironically, his teammate, guy that he trains with, Jason Norwood, who just fought, they both have a win now over John Kirk, so they're going to want to keep moving forward down that win column and keep the U.S. Army alive here in the cage.
Stelly, an All-American wrestler, also a 2002 AAU freestyle wrestling champion. His only loss in the last 5 years against Louis Kane, who's having some success in the octagon these days. Never a loss, by the way, for Stelly at 185 pounds, so it should be interesting to see what he can do tonight at middleweight. Just 2 career losses. Both have come in the light heavyweight division. Stelly back in 05, an all-Army heavyweight champ in combative. So he's fought bigger guys, certainly shouldn't be an issue tonight.
You know, I would imagine after 3 tours in Afghanistan, getting into a cage is nothing.
You'd have to think so. Well, you know, they're watching back in Fort Benning, Georgia. Lot of momentum for Stelly coming into this fight. Let's send it inside for the particulars.
Desde el Noble Center, OU University, Norman, Oklahoma. Damas y caballeros, prepárense. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for Bellator Fighting Championships. Presentados por, being brought to you by Ford Motor Company y ESPN Deportes. Este combate forma parte del torneo de eliminación directa en la división peso mediano de Bellator Fighting Championships. This bout is part of the single elimination Bellator Fighting Championships middleweight tournament. Pactado a 3 asaltos, set for 3 rounds of MMA action. Los jueces son, the judges are Jim Lambert, Nick Atwood y Bobby Higdon. El referee, Jason Herzog. Presentando la esquina azul, introducing the blue corner, vestido de rojo con vivos blancos. He steps into the ring wearing red trunks with white trim. Su peso oficial, 184 libras. His official weight, 184 pounds. Practica el arte marcial de estilo libre con un récord profesional de 7 victorias y 4 derrotas. He is a freestyle fighter with an MMA record of 7 victories against 4 defeats. Representing Team Trailex, Dallas, Texas, Alex El Toro Andrade. Y en la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de negro con blanco y rojo. He steps into the ring wearing black trimmed in red and white. Su peso oficial, 185 libras. His official weight, 185 pounds. Un especialista en técnicas modernas de combate militar, con un récord profesional de 8 victorias y solo 2 derrotas. He is a specialist in modern Army combatives with an MMA record of 8 victories against 2 losses. Representing the U.S. Armed Forces, Fort Benning, Georgia, Damian Stelly.
Fighters are going over the rules in the back. There are no final questions from you, Blue. No final questions from you, Red. Touch gloves. Come on, ready to fight.
So a spot in the middleweight semifinals on the line between Alex Andrade and Damian Stelly tonight. Of course, the winner here not only makes $25,000, but moves on in the tournament. Again, the winner of the middleweight tournament has a chance to win $175,000. All these bouts contested under the unified rules of mixed martial arts. Of course, the lone exception, no elbows to the head in the first and second rounds. Elbows, of course, very rarely finish fights, but they do finish guys in terms of cuts and keep them out a while. We're underway here, Stelly and Andrade.
Stelly comes out with a big left hook to the face. Both guys really understand what's at stake at this tournament here. Stelly not making millions of dollars in the Army, would love the opportunity to walk away with $175,000. And as we heard, Andrade said, hey man, I can't do mixed martial arts and train. But the problem a lot of guys have getting into mixed martial arts is that they come into here with full-time jobs.
Sure.
You get to a certain point where you got to decide, all right, is this what I want to do, or do I want to keep the job? And good double
solid
leg.
takedown there for Stelly, who does train full-time, by the way, at the combative school, the U.S. Army Combative School.
Stelly's actually used to be a ranger, so he's no slouch when it comes to conditioning and pushing himself.
Stelly also actually studying criminal justice online at Troy State University. Bet you didn't know that.
Besides laying the law down, he's laying his opponent down via double legs there. Now he's looking to pass, working around the legs of Andrade there, and just needs to untangle his right knee, get it against the hip there. Okay, just walking him out.
Andrade doing a good job not allowing the full mount there for Stelly, but you see the cardio with Stelly. I mean, just an ox, not gonna gas.
I hope not. It's minute 30 in, so.
But you can tell right away with certain guys, man. You really can. You just, and I could be proven wrong, but you can just tell with guys so active right out of the gate, 90 seconds in, having his way with Andrade here.
Well, you know, it looks like he's paced and controlled, too. He has a good work pace going. It's not like he's desperately trying to finish the fight or just rain down blows. One of the things I like about Stelly is you'll notice that he's working to improve his position before he throws punches. Here he's throwing some good left hands as he's got the left leg posted, but you see him working on the knees, working to pass and get into a better position. A lot of guys don't have the jiu-jitsu experience to really pass guard successfully without getting swept and reversed. And Stelly clearly confident there as he controls the ankles of Andrade. He's going to probably come down the middle with a punch here.
On cue, and he lands with the left hand.
I called Miss Cleo. She said he's going to punch him. So Andrade now working the butterfly guard on Stelly. Butterfly guard's a great way to sweep somebody, but at this point it looks like Stelly's trying to get back in deep on that double leg and suck Andrade right off the fence.
Both guys composed, showing some poise here in the early going.
This is one of those 50-50 positions. Andrade has the guillotine in and it's deep. Now whether or not he can finish from this position is going to be difficult because Stelly's clearly in great shape and has a lot of cardio. Good reverse, good way to put Stelly against the fence. Here's corner yelling out, turn it, meaning turn the guillotine up, get a little more pressure on that.
Let's go, guys. Keep moving. Let's go.
Stelly has his left arm, as you see his left forearm kind of working underneath the right arm of Andrade there. That's going to take away some of the pressure and leverage.
Stelly was hoping maybe to get 5 minutes there with a shot to the groin, but Jason Herzog says play on.
Oh, good leg trick. And right back down into butterfly guard.
Stelly wasting little time when he gets the dominant position and firing away. See
Andrade working a sweep there. Good job. Wasn't able to fully come up with that, but that's an old jiu-jitsu sweep. When a guy stands up in your guard, you put your knees together on his hips, you pop your hips up towards the ceiling, and if you're holding both of his ankles, falls down like a 2x4, excuse me. Of course, the other half of that is you have to actually use your momentum to get up on top of your opponent.
Again, a good matchup here in the middleweight division, the quarterfinal round of our middleweight tournament. We go under a minute to go in the first round, and sort of hard to say who won the first round here so far.
I think it's, if I had to judge, and again, this is why I will never be a judge. Stelly, I think, has gotten 2 big takedowns, and he's done the most damage, gotten a position on Andrade at this point. See him using his right hand there. What he's doing with his right hand when he's grabbing the instep by the foot of Andrade is he's trying to control where that foot pressure comes from Andrade so that he doesn't use that as a hook to manipulate a sweep when Stelly tries to pass. Not sure what he's going to be able to do with 20 seconds left here, but he does move into almost a full mount and throws some left hands. Just kind of glancing blows.
Yeah, you want to make sure if you're Stelly, you don't exert too much energy if most of those shots are getting blocked.
Definitely can take its toll. You think you're in a good position, you throw a bunch of punches, you want to end the fight. And the next thing you know, you're tired next round.
All right, an intriguing first round between Andrade and Stelly. More Bellator action right after this.
Fight over your warning, though. No flying.
So we're ready for round 2. Alex Andrade and Damian Stelly, who will move on to the middleweight semifinals.
Good show of respect there. Both guys touch gloves. Oh, and come out swinging. Stelly in on a deep double leg. He's going to try to pull Andrade off the fence here. Great hip action by Stelly. Beautiful knees.
Solid knees there from Stelly. Andrade doing a good job keeping his hands up, though.
Yeah, Stelly did a good job of mixing up the Muay Thai there and then shot into the wrestling. You can see Andrade trying to get back some of those knees. Both guys doing a good job of reversing position off of the fence. When you have an opponent on the cage like that, you really want to use that to the best of your ability because it limits his mobility. You want to switch back to over or underhooks. A good ankle pick there. He's going to try to get the other ankle and suck him off again.
Herzog in quickly to get Andrade's hand off the cage.
He's going to run the pipe. He's going to turn, use his head, and dump him. Perfect, just like that.
You see, though, both guys veterans. The minute Andrade's on his back, he's quickly thinking about his next move. You see why his career started in 1997. Not afraid when he gets into certain uncompromising situations to try and think about that next move.
Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu is often referred to as, you know, a chess match, and rightfully so because, you know, the first move sometimes set up the second move, the third move, the sweep, the reversal, and then the submission. You really have to be thinking 3 or 4 moves above your opponent. Both guys at a good work pace here. See, Andrade's trying to keep pressure away so that he can keep some distance and stand up here. But Stelly just constantly keeping forward pressure on Andrade and bringing the fight to him. Staying really close here, not giving Andrade much chance to work anything.
And Andrade certainly respects his wrestling. Doesn't seem like he fears his power a whole lot, though. And Stelly gonna go for the slam here.
Well, Andrade not wasting any time.
Stop, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You grab the fence, let go.
Oh, they're stopping it for a second.
You can't grab the fence, you grab the fence.
Herzog stopping it here for a point deduction. So in a fairly close second round here, Jason Herzog intervenes. You saw Andrade literally wrap his hand around the top of the cage. Not allowed.
You know, I love Jason Herzog, and I think he's a fantastic referee, but I don't think in the middle of the action when you have a double leg there, you really need to be stopping it.
So you're saying just take the point away and let the action continue?
You know, I think that if it's not intentional, you need to give him big double leg takedown again. You know, if it's not intentional, you should give him a warning, but, you know, that looked like they both had moved on past that point in their lives, and it looked like they were working to resolve issues at that time.
Right. No, it's very rare when one fighter literally has picked up another to have the action stop, but he wanted to take away the point, and that was the decision.
You know, the ironic thing was Andrade was about to get slammed there, and he looked more disappointed that he got put down than Stelly did.
Right. He was trying to lock in that guillotine, might have sunk it in there. So again, as has been the case throughout the first 2 rounds, Damian Stelly exerting his will on the ground and has top position once again. But Andrade, despite eating a lot of shots, doesn't seem all that worse for wear. Very busy with his hands and just looks supremely focused and always thinking one move ahead.
Yeah, we're going to see how that point also is going to affect
the
corner in the middle of the round now. If the corner's keeping track, he's got to realize he's down 2 rounds now and he has to get a submission or knockout. Stelly again in deep on those doubles. Andrade tries to fight it and go for a guillotine here. Looks like he's got his right arm around that. Yeah, he didn't have enough leverage on that.
Really a great stylistic clash. You have Andrade going for submissions and showing off the jiu-jitsu stuff, and Stelly relying on what got him here, I should say, his wrestling credentials. Just a solid fight through 9 minutes.
You know, I'm thinking about starting to train in the modern Army combative. It'd be hard to train it if I can't pronounce it, huh? had the ability to train with the Marine Corps, Marine Corps martial art program. That was fantastic. These guys are in great shape. A lot of respect for all of our servicemen overseas, servicemen and women, overseas. And the ones doing war right here in the cage. Stelly pops guard.
Andre, though, making some noise here as we go under 30 seconds in round number 2.
Yeah, Andre looks like he would be winning back this round if it had not been the point deduction.
And you see one of those strikes, the left hand opening up a pretty decent cut just by the right eye of Damian Stelly.
This is when you start to really get into that cardio. End of the second, beginning of the third round.
So a bounce back round for Alex Andre, but he has the point deduction. We'll see what happens in the third and deciding round from Norman, Oklahoma.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the third and final.
So a pretty close fight to this point between Damian Stelly and Alex Andre. Jason, talk us through some of this action here in round 2.
Well, you see Stelly throws a couple big left and right knees and mixes it up well, and then he drops and changes levels here after that knee, gets into that double. And then you see from this angle, he gets up nice and deep, and inadvertently, I think there, you get the fence grab, kind of stopped Stelly from getting the takedown there.
Sure.
It's one of those things, it's kind of an instinctual reaction. You feel yourself falling or going somewhere.
I saw a hand on top of the cage. That was the cameraman, so it wasn't the way I saw it, but still a clear grab of the cage, but no warning.
Damian Stelly there got stuffed on that takedown. Both guys working at a really good pace here coming into the third round. You see Damian Stelly went for a little rubber guard there, went to grab his leg. And again, as these guys get sweaty, it's really hard to lock in submissions. Your margin of error kind of goes down the tubes a little bit here. Everything's got to be tighter and faster, which is really difficult because at this point, you're tired and more slow.
Well, just to reset quickly exactly what's on the line here, this is a Bellator Middleweight Tournament quarterfinal. The winner moves on to the semifinals with $25,000 in hand, a chance to win another $50,000 with a win in the semifinals, and a chance to pocket $175,000 total in a 3-month span. A huge opportunity for both of these veteran middleweights. Question is, who wants it at this point?
Well, I think at this point, it looks like Andre is really turning it on more in this round. And Stelly, though, dominated the first round. That second round was pretty close, but with that point deduction, I got to say it's definitely 2 rounds to possibly 1. Andre gets it going here a little more. But Stelly throwing some good knees. Not going to let this go to the decision. Oh, nice left hand by Stelly.
Andre appears to be the fresher fighter. It's just the question is, does he have enough to convince the judges? Might even need a 10-8 round here given the deduction and given that Stelly probably won the opening stand.
True. I mean, the thing is, you don't see a lot of 10-8 rounds in MMA. It's usually an extremely lopsided round for it to be 10-8. There's so many judging criteria. One guy can totally dominate stand-up. The other guy is going to be totally dominating ground. But both guys looking to exchange in the middle of the ring here.
And Damian Stelly, you were right to tell me about the cardio thing about 90 seconds into the fight. Stelly really flat-footed here. The judges are looking at who's controlling the cage, who's got more left, and to me at this point in the third round, it appears to be Alex Andre.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Alex Andre definitely has a little more gas in the tank. To coin a term a friend of mine uses, cardio machine is something you need to be if you're in mixed martial arts here. But there's such a toll on it, you can't really imagine putting every punch and every kick as you want to knock someone out, those takedowns, and you're fighting someone else's body weight. It's a lot different than just hitting pads or jogging.
That's why Andre did a nice job in the early rounds when Stelly was striking away. Andre was blocking and thinking about his next move, and now in the third round, he's got a little bit of momentum, but is 2 minutes enough for him to finish the fight?
Yeah, I definitely think Stelly is finding his rhythm a little more. Andre is finding his rhythm a little more here, and Stelly's kind of wearing down. If this is a 5-round fight, I'd say at this pace, it'd be hard to call, but again, Andre really needs to kind of get things working here if he just lost that last round definitively by that 1-point deduction. There's a good double leg. Can he finish? Oh, he gets the ankle trip back in on that double against the fence. Boom! Uses the sweat to pull him down off the cage. And passes into side mount.
Well, with all the star power in Alex Andrade's corner, you have to think he knows he might be down in the fight and needs to force the issue here down the stretch. As we go under 90 seconds, who will move on to the final four of the Bellator middleweight tournament? Will it be Alex Andrade or Damian Stelly?
Bet you a bucket, Stelly.
No side wagers yet. Maybe when we move on to some semifinal matchups. No side wagers just yet.
You know, both guys really putting on a good show, though. Andrade, I hate to see that point get taken away. The last thing you want to do is have a fight lost that you think you may have actually won it. I mean, this is pretty close. Couple big knees again by Stelly. Working that Muay Thai clinch. I mean, even though this is pretty close, you want to feel like you came in and you either beat your opponent or he beat you. And the most definitive way is obviously submission and knockout. The second way is to go to the judges. The last thing you want to have that be is, a deduction of points based on rules. But both guys, again, putting in great effort here.
Yeah, again, both guys showing signs of this 15-minute battle as we go under 30 seconds to go. Who's got what left in the tank? That's the question.
I'm going to guess Stelly goes for one more takedown. It looks to me like he's setting up that takedown off of the punches.
Yeah, maybe score some points late, try and convince the judges that the third round was his.
Oh, that looked like he thought about the takedown. Andre trying to put together some short hooks. Oh, nice right hand over the top by Stelly. And a body kick. Muay Thai clinch, and he follows up with a nice left knee. Good exchange here to end it. Oh, and he does go for one last takedown.
So both guys landing down the stretch. Damian Stelly thinks he's won the fight, but do the judges? It remains to be seen. We are back with the official decision inside the Lloyd Noble Center on the campus of Oklahoma University. We are right back after this. Anakin Chambers cage side in Norman, Oklahoma. The result hangs in the balance. Will it be Alex Andrade or Damian Stelly? Before we get the decision here in a moment, just a quick look at some of the action towards the end of round 3.
Yeah, Stelly gets in a good double and just drives, gets the ankle and then goes right back in on it. That's just his wrestling pedigree kicking in, and anytime you see those legs going in. You see here Stelly working the Muay Thai clinch, throwing powerful knees into the midsection and going to the head.
Well, Stelly certainly finished that third round stronger than he started it. Let's see who's moving on in the tournament.
Damas y caballeros, después de 3 asaltos, los jueces Atwood y Higdon están de acuerdo entregando tarjetas idénticas de 29 a 27. Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, judges Higdon and Atwood scored the bout identically at 29 to 27. Y el juez Lambert anotó 30 a 26. Judge Lambert scores it 30 to 26. For the winner, by way of unanimous decision, and moving on in the Bellator Fighting Championships Middleweight Tournament. Para el vencedor por decisión unánime y avanzando en el torneo peso mediano de Bellator Fighting Championships, Damian Stelly.
So Alex Andrade was game, but Damian Stelly was more game, and he was the better fighter tonight. He emerges with the unanimous decision victory, improves his record to 9-2. The U.S. Army celebrating the victory here in Norman, Oklahoma. Damian Stelly, a force to be reckoned with as he moves on to the final 4 of our middleweight tournament. And again, Stelly getting it done with the wrestling as he moves on. And now let's take a look at the bracket in the 185-pound division. Hector Lombard and Damian Stelly there in one semifinal matchup. Yosmani Cabezas awaits the winner of an upcoming matchup between Daniel Tabera and Jared Hess. So 3 of our 4 semifinalists in the middleweight division have been determined. Let's set it inside the cage. Jason Chambers standing by with a very happy Damian Stelly.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with your winner, Damian Stelly. Damian, coming into this fight, what was your game plan coming into this?
Man, I knew Alex was a tough guy. I mean, look at him. Good Lord, dude's huge. But he's very powerful. I knew that, and I knew that his punches, as long as I kept him straight, I might land a few, and it looked like I landed a couple.
You landed more than a couple. Damian Stelly, ladies and gentlemen.
Coming up next, Dave Menne. It's been a long road back to Bellator. He takes on Norman Parisi as we wrap up the welterweight tournament first round. So before we get to our final welterweight quarterfinal, we take a look back at what has transpired thus far at a $170 and the best the Dominican Republic has to offer. Omar De La Cruz against the previously unbeaten Victor Meza, but De La Cruz dominated the action throughout as he hands Meza his first career loss. The Dominican De La Cruz with the victory over Victor Meza, now 2 wins away from the Bellator gold. All right, equally dominant at 170 was Jorge Ortiz in his matchup against Aaron Romero. Jorge Ortiz, the practicing attorney, and he laid down the law. Romero seemed to gas early, and it was Ortiz who was the cleaner, more accurate striker throughout the fight. Really was poised and composed. He earns a coveted spot in the welterweight semifinals. And finally, 2 weeks ago, Lyman Good better than good in his quarterfinal against Hector Urbina. It was all good. He set the pace early and often, showed off his improved wrestling skills, eventually put Urbina to sleep with a rear naked choke. Good's mother enjoying every minute of his victory at Mohegan Sun. And now we take an updated look at the welterweight bracket. You see Omar De La Cruz, Jorge Ortiz, and Lyman Good all moving on. Good will take on Ortiz in the next round, and Omar De La Cruz set to meet tonight's winner between Dave Menne and Norman Parisi. So now we wrap up the quarterfinal round in the welterweight division. Norman Parisi against Dave Menne, and Parisi looking to turn heads in the United States.
My name is Norman Parisi. I'm 23 years old. I come from Paris, France. MMA is not legal in France. Fighting at first, it was just for fun, you know. And in my country, almost nobody take care about MMA. So it was just like fun. And then thanks to traveling, I can meet other people and, you know, fight more outside my country. Like 2 years ago, I was training in Brazilian top team in Rio. And a lot of guys from Brazilian top team moved on to ATT. So when I signed my contract with Bellator, I know I need to train harder, you know. So I decided to leave my country and come here to train with the best. And I don't regret my choice, you know, because I have big support from ATT. And every day I can train with the best guy. We make a good team, you know.
So he is the #1 ranked welterweight in France, now in Miami, Florida. Jason with American Top Team.
Again, lots of guys down there to train with. I mean, I keep being redundant on that, but there's so many guys down there that, as we've seen in the tournament, George Masvidal, Hector Lombard, a ton of guys doing really well. So you have a lot of good training partners, and that's what really stands you apart from guys at this level.
Parisi with a grappling record of 30-3, 3 of his 5 wins by submission, 5-0 for the career with 1 no contest. 6 years of training in mixed martial arts, 3 years as a professional. His last bout came August 29th of last year. He won the majority decision there over Hidehiko Hasegawa in Korea. Of course, Hasegawa, to many of you hardcore fans, the former Deep champion. So Parisi's got some momentum, Jason, coming into this fight.
He does. And speaking of momentum, his flying knee is his favorite technique, and that's something you put all your body weight and momentum behind. Let's see if he's going to pull off some of those tonight.
Says he grew up watching Sakurai, who had the knees going as he ousted Shinya Aoki a few weeks back in Japan. Also thought it was interesting for Parisi, the Nintendo Wii Fitness is actually part of his training at night. So he does the 2-a-days, does some other stuff in the daytime, in the morning, and then Nintendo Wii at night. So maybe if he moves on here in the Bellator tournament, you know, maybe he's got Nintendo Wii as a potential sponsor. Who knows?
There you go.
Post-career, Parisi says he wants to open a bakery to eat cake all day long, and why not? All right, his opponent now, Dave Menne. He battled adversity en route to his Bellator debut.
I think it was Sports Illustrated was in, and I was holding pads, and I think one of the interviewers was asking why I wasn't fighting, because after I was holding the pads, like, when are you going to fight? Why aren't you fighting? And like, Randy Couture is still fighting, and I'm like, I got to figure some stuff out. I was diagnosed at that time with Lyme's disease, or a little bit later. It was a weird kind of hell, I guess. It's something that's impossible to explain to somebody. Had palpitations, various other things, and every other odd, crazy thing that could possibly happen to a human being. There was lack of neural sensation outside of my body, so as that started to come back, I started to be able to react differently. I don't entirely know what to say, because after 2 months I was wonderful, but that was after 2 months of, you know, being about as bad off as you could. So everything after that felt great. I've been in a building stage up to now, working on my striking, working on my grappling, working on my endurance, working on my strength, and now it's just a matter of pinning everything down, tighten up the strings, and play a pretty song. All right?
So Dave Menne finally healthy, trying to put it all together. A golden opportunity in the Bellator Fighting Championships. Dave Menne, one of the original students of the world-renowned Miletich fighting system.
Yeah, Dave Menne is one of these guys that he's been around since, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
he's fought in some of the early UFCs. He actually was the middleweight champion at one point. So this guy is not unfamiliar with how to get to the top and how to earn those victories. And, you know, quite frankly, he's one of the guys that when I was starting to train, he was the guy that you went, man, that guy's cool, man. I want to be like this guy.
Some of his notable wins by unanimous decision over Carlos Newton, a future UFC champion, also beat Chris Lytle, fought Shoney Carter a couple times as well.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, right, sure. In terms of his losses, again, a who's who of mixed martial artists: Sakurai, Ed Herman, Jake Shields, Phil Baroni. Lost a decision to Matt Hughes. A couple UFC losses: Luigi Fioravanti and Josh Koscheck, 2 of his 3 UFC losses there. Made the debut back in April of 1997. 3 tournament-style fights that night. I believe he won all of them. His last fight came in May of 2008, a first-round technical knockout win over Travis McCullough.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about things that are kind of ironic in mixed martial arts and how you can't really look at fighter-to-fighter matchups, you know, and piece it together quite as simplistically, he holds a win over Dennis Hallman. Dennis Hallman holds 2 wins over former UFC welterweight champion Matt Hughes. Again, Matt Hughes defeated Dave Menne. It's a circle of life here in the cage.
And I feel like I'm reading the guy's resume off, but when you have a career record of 45, 15, and 2, there's a lot to get to here. Back in 2001 in Kuwait, he won a 16-man one-day tournament. So conditioning has really been a strength of Dave Menne's throughout his entire mixed martial arts career. And given the feature you just saw, the great piece put together there by Brad Epstein and our staff here at Bellator, how healthy is he? You know, healthy enough to compete in mixed martial arts, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, doing a 16-man tournament in one day, doing an 8-man tournament over the course of 12 weeks could be a cakewalk, right?
We shall see what happens. Let's set it inside the cage.
Caballeros, este combate continúa el torneo de eliminación directa en la división peso welter de Bellator Fighting Championships. Ladies and gentlemen, this bout forms part of the Bellator Fighting Championships Single Elimination Welterweight Tournament. Pactado a 3 asaltos, set for 3 rounds of MMA action. Los jueces son, the judges are Bobby Higdon, Nick Atwood y Jim Lambert. El referee, Tom Jones. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de café con color amarillo. He steps into the ring wearing brown, trimmed in yellow. Su peso oficial, 170 libras. His official weight, 170 pounds. Un especialista en el arte marcial de estilo libre. Invicto hasta el momento en su carrera profesional, con 5 victorias. He is a freestyle fighter with an undefeated MMA record of 5 victories. Originario de, originally from Paris, France, y representing American Top Team, Coconut Creek, Florida, Norman Parisi. Y en la esquina roja, in the red corner, vestido de blanco con vivos negros y rojos. He steps into the ring wearing white trunks with black and red trim. Detuvo la báscula un peso oficial de 169 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 169 pounds. Igual que su rival, practica el arte marcial de estilo libre con un récord impresionante de 45 victorias, con 15 derrotas y 2 empates. He too is a freestyle fighter with an impressive MMA record of 45 victories, along with 15 losses and 2 bouts even. Representing Northway Gym, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Dave the Warrior Menne.
Fighters to the center. Fighters to the center. All right, guys, you both know the rules. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. And once you touch gloves, and come out fighting.
If you notice there in the corner of Dave Menne's banner, there's a top hat that says mask there. Recently, the mixed martial art world lost to one of the founders of the extremely popular brand Tap Out in a horrific car accident. So Dave showing his respect for some of the people that came at the same time he did.
Real nice memorial service for Mask, by the way, a couple of weeks back. So, of course, nice gesture there by Dave Menne. We get underway, of course, in the Bellator Fighting Championships welterweight tournament. All the fighters control their own destiny. No subjectivity whatsoever. You win, you move on, and you got a chance to get that coveted Bellator belt.
Well, I'm excited to watch this fight. I've been a fan of Dave Menne's for a long time. And Dave connects with a beautiful left leg kick there. And Norman Parisi, very comfortable standing up, very comfortable on the ground. Seems like a very high-level fight. Oh, and a good takedown there by Norman.
Scoring some points early there for Norman.
Of course, when you fought the likes of Matt Hughes, I guess takedowns are something that you kind of get acclimated to after a certain point. Dave Menne, very comfortable on his back. You see right away he's got his left foot on the inner thigh there. He's going to start elevating up Parisi and try to work some sweeps. Standing up, right away working on that. Oh, Parisi's in on a single leg here. So Dave can fight it off. And he's getting his hips back. Don't grab the Parisi, can't be warned by the ref. Do not grab the shorts.
Nice transition there by Menne. 62 fights in his career is nothing you can throw at him that he hasn't seen before.
And he went for looked like an anaconda choke there. You hear it, Dave's corner yelling out, "You got that, keep that." I'm not sure if you keep it anymore since he's past the guard, Dave Menne.
Parisi trying to catch his breath at this point after surviving that choke.
Yeah, getting put in chokes will take a lot out of you. I mean, if you're working on the receiving end of a choke, not only do you have to worry about defending, but it just, you know, you get nerves, you've got to keep your chin tucked and start thinking about that, and it cuts off at least a little bit of the air and a little bit of the blood, which restricts your cardio, even sitting in those.
Menne doing a nice job holding that right arm down. Parisi looking up to his corner for advice, a little frustrated in the early going.
I think both guys are just kind of taking a good pace. You see the experience is kind of set in here. You know, it's not that they're tired, but they're just picking the positions where they want to advance. Both guys really respect each other on the ground. You can tell that. Dave Menne now going to try to work his right hand under the far left arm of Parisi. Try to create an underhook situation so he can get to his knees. Parisi doing a good job there, head and arm control, keeping pressure in with his right shoulder, and just keeping Dave Menne flat on his back.
Barring injury, the winner here gets Omar De La Cruz in the welterweight semifinals.
Dave puts back in guard. Dave Menne's been fighting for so long. I mean, there's very few positions he's going to be in that he's not A, comfortable, and B, hasn't been in 50 times before in fights.
Sure, I mean, even when he's getting hit, it looks like another day at the office.
Yeah, a lot of guys, you know, that make the transition from jiu-jitsu to mixed martial arts, they don't do as well as you'd think they would, just because of the fact they're not used to getting hit as much on the ground. Even when you train, you know, your training partners usually aren't teeing off on you.
Parisi, though, landing here a little bit.
And Parisi doing a good job of squaring his hips up with Dave Menne, kind of taking away any of Dave's ability to work a high guard like Dave Menne's doing right now. He's trying to get that left leg around there to work a triangle. Parisi just postured up right there to stop that from coming over his neck.
Close first round here as we go under a minute. Norman Parisi and Dave Menne.
Dave Menne worked on a little bit of a guillotine choke there. Parisi able to pop his head out.
Again, though, I think you'd have to say the course of the last 2 minutes of this round, Parisi's been the more effective fighter.
He's definitely worked a little more position. Menne has attempted a few more submissions, and he's really minimizing the damage from the ground there. And you see none of those shots that Parisi's been throwing really going through. A couple soft ones to the body. Again, Dave Menne is a warrior. Personal life inside of the cage. He embodies what Bellator is about. Bring this round to a close.
For Parisi, trying to stay undefeated, but no doubt the toughest task of his career. We're through one round here at Bellator. Well, my favorite part of this gig, putting Jason Chambers on the spot. We're through one round, forced to score it, man. I mean, it was a tough first round to score. Who do you think had the edge, Parisi or Dave Menne?
Oh, that's such a tough one to call. I mean, it depends on the way you look at it. Dave Menne, was throwing up more attempts to finish the fight. I'd say that I have to give a squeak of a nod in the direction of Parisi, but again, I hate to call that. Thank you for putting
nice
me on the spot.
Nice for a future political scientist. That is a nice politically correct answer. Well done. So, of course, on the line here, a spot, the final spot in the Bellator welterweight semifinals. Omar De La Cruz, Lyman Good, and Jorge Ortiz have already moved on. Who will join them?
Menne with a nice inside leg kick there. You hear the corner of Parisi shouting out instructions, and if I spoke Portuguese, I'd be more than happy to translate those. Evidently it was punch him, because that's just what he did.
They speak in French or Portuguese?
I believe they're speaking Portuguese. That's what happens. You get a bunch of Brazilians together. They speak Portuguese. Doesn't matter what you speak. You're going to start to learn Portuguese. Right. Passa de guard. That's what you're going to hear next. Pass the guard.
Similar position here that we saw at the end of round number one. Parisi on top. Did some damage. Not a ton of damage in the first round, but...
This is Dave there working his left hand underneath the far arm of Parisi. He's going to try to use his right hand on the hip and create some distance and get to his side so that he can either put him back in butterfly guard like he's done right there, or better, get a sweep or just stand up. Menne extends off there. Not enough for him to stand back up. Parisi doing a really good job of just staying really tight on Dave Menne, not giving him a lot of room to work, but both athletes just really progressing at a high level here. You can see that it's a technical battle.
Yeah, Parisi actually was a slight favorite heading into the fight here, according to most of the online sources that we use, but really a pick'em fight and a great matchup here put together by the Bellator folks. Parisi trying to get that leg out, and he does so, but barely. That might not have been able to in the first round. Sweat playing a role a little bit.
Menne dived on that ankle pretty quick, but unfortunately, Sweat, and then Parisi just doing a good job of defending that.
Hard to gauge what's left in the Menne tank because he's on his back, but at least in terms of Parisi, seems to be fresh, seems to have the speed behind his punches, even if he's not landing a ton. You see a small little egg on the forehead of Dave Menne.
Dave Menne's never really been an explosive fighter. You see him working on the ankle lock there, the heel hook. Now, Parisi did a good job there. You see when Dave Menne went to the heel hook, Parisi took his opposite foot and put it into the butt of Dave Menne and pushed off and got some leverage there.
Now, is that a byproduct of Parisi's submission defense, or is it more so just the moisture on the leg?
I think it's 50-50.
Yeah.
When there's sweat there, it's definitely easier to pull your leg out, but you got to know the right technique in order for that sweat to help.
And when you train an American top team, technique shouldn't be too much of an issue. They certainly know what they're doing down there, and we've seen a lot of strong ATT performances thus far through the first month of the Bellator Fighting Championships.
You know, Dave Menne is one of those guys, though, that he never really was an explosive guy. He was one of those kind of more methodical, well-rounded everywhere. He's got good hands, he's got good wrestling, he's got good jiu-jitsu. One of those guys that if you give him an opportunity, he's going to catch you. Speaking of catch you, throws up a triangle attempt. did a good job defending there.
Sometimes the fans don't necessarily appreciate the back and forth on the ground, but this is high-level mixed martial arts.
Well, it's like watching Bobby Fischer play chess. You're not really going to appreciate it watching it unless you fully understand all the intricacies. I mean, right here it looks to some people like, oh, these are just two guys on the ground. Why doesn't he just do this or do that? I guarantee anybody that hops into a ring with one of these guys, it wouldn't last 20 seconds on the ground. I mean, it's just amazing the way that they're able to use their leverage and isolate your feet. You see there, Parisi using his feet to pass the half guard of Dave Menne. Dave Menne backing on that ankle lock, feeling like he could get some success with it. He's in pretty deep. Oh, is he going to be able to roll? Oh, he got out of it. And Dave at least gets the sweep and goes on top.
So as we go under 40 ticks to go in the second round here, a lot of submission attempts for Dave Menne.
Yeah, Dave Menne is looking to finish the fight, and that's what I really respect about him. You know, from the bottom, from the top, I like to see what he can get going here. Just throwing some good strikes from the top on Parisi.
Nice for Dave Menne to finally be on top in this fight. He spent the majority of it on his back. Dave Menne corner liking what he's doing here from the top spot. So through 2 rounds between Parisi and Menne, who's going to emerge? The third and final round is right around the bend. So much on the line here. A welterweight quarterfinal between Norman Parisi and Dave Menne. The winner, $25,000 and a spot in the semifinals. The chance to win another $50,000. Of course, the eventual champion will pocket $175,000. And such a close fight, I think, here, Jay, through 2 rounds.
Like I said, man, I'm so glad I'm not a judge or a referee. I got the easy job. I get to watch dudes beat each other up and talk about it.
So Menne doing a little damage here at the outset of round 3, perhaps the most appreciable damage of the first several rounds.
Yeah, I think Dave knows he needs to kind of start getting things working. You know, the first 2 rounds were really close. If I had to judge and be put on a spot like you love to do to me, I'd have to give them to Parisi at this point.
And even if you think it's even, we mentioned so much on our Bellator broadcast, you never want to leave it in the hands of the judges. And Dave Menne, the veteran of 60-plus fights, he got that memo.
Oh, wait, no! It looked like he may have had a tap, and I think he's just grabbing onto Menne to get to the other side. Menne's in on he wasn't on a good choke there. Parisi able to slide his head out in that transition and get a little bit of space, which is all he needed.
Jay, how much energy do you exert trying to pull off those guillotines? It looks like it really takes a lot. When they don't work out, it's got to be discouraging.
How much energy do you exert? All of it, bro.
Yeah.
You try to use every bit of energy you have to finish it.
We talk about heart, technique, and cardio, the 3 most important things when you enter the cage. And cardio, I think you have to put near the front of that list. If you don't have it, you're abandoned in the cage.
Dave Menne loves that heel hook. Oh, nice spin into a nice knee bar. Oh, I don't know if he's going to be deep enough. He's going to try to work to get on top here. And he does good. Looks like he uses his left arm to grab the toes of Parisi to make sure that he can't recompose his base. Just super experienced. You know, that's the thing you can't teach guys. You just have to let them experience over time. Having your body parts almost work independently of each other. So while your hands are doing one thing, your feet are passing the legs, and that's really when you see the high level of jiu-jitsu that both men here are displaying.
Well, in what's been a very close fight, a strong first 2 minutes of the third round for the veteran Dave Menne.
Yeah, Dave Menne definitely is winning this fight thus far. And now that he's on top, I think that's the place that Dave is going to excel.
And finally, after avoiding several submission holds, Parisi starting to show a little bit of fatigue here, just trying to survive. The Menne corner begging him to take his back. He does so.
Listen. I don't know how deep that choke is. Oh, no, it's pretty deep. Oh, it's all over.
And that will do it. Dave Menne is moving on. If you thought he lost the first 2 rounds, certainly didn't lose the third. Dave Menne submits Norman Parisi. And what just complete relief and thrill for Dave Menne. The respect to his opponent there, Norman Parisi. And how about Dave Menne? Back in the mixed martial arts picture, in style, moving on to the semifinals, and a matchup with Omar De La Cruz in the semis.
You know, when Dave Menne first started fighting back in the mid-90s, you know, guys were fighting for $100, $200. But if we look at the end of the fight here, we see Dave Menne doing a good job of just peppering Parisi there. Parisi turns to his stomach, and Dave wastes no time hopping on his back, gets that left arm underneath the throat, and as soon as he's able to get his hooks in, just squeezes and cinches up that rear naked choke. Let me take a look at this from another angle. Menne flattens out Parisi, throws a couple of punches, and that's just used to do exactly what he wanted there, was get Parisi to move a little bit. Parisi made the decision to go to his stomach. Dave Menne sees it back, hops on it, throws a left hand underneath the chin, clasps the hands, deep breath in, squeeze, hold it, and it's over.
So Dave Menne has had his hand raised 45 times in his mixed martial arts career. The corner enjoying every minute of it. And now, here's number 46.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación. Mata León concluye este combate con un tiempo oficial de 2 minutos 39 segundos del tercer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a rear naked choke concludes this bout with an official time of 2 minutes 39 seconds of the third and final round. Your winner by way of submission, and moving on in the Bellator Fighting Championships Welterweight Tournament. El vencedor por sumisión y avanzando en el torneo peso welter de Bellator Fighting Championships, Dave the Warrior Menne.
So Dave Menne will have a lot to say about how this welterweight tournament is decided. The winner is standing by with our own Jason Chambers.
Walk us through the end of the fight for us, Dave.
I just kept on pushing. Took the back, felt like there was an opening, latched on, and squeezed. You know, sank the choke like I have 100,000 times before in the gym. I know there wasn't a lot of time. I know if it went to the decision, there's a good chance I wasn't pulling it off. Chance I was, but it's not a chance I want to take, and I always want to finish the fight. So,
well, finishing fights is what you did, and we look forward to seeing more of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Menne.
So 15 of our 16 semifinalists have been determined. One more slot in the middleweight division to be decided tonight. Daniel Tabera taking on that man, Jared Hess out of Oklahoma City. The final middleweight quarterfinal when we return. So we wrap up the quarterfinal round in the Bellator Fighting Championship single elimination tournament with a battle of unbeatens. Daniel Tabera against Jared Hess, and for Tabera, excited for the opportunity stateside.
Bueno, yo creo que yo tengo una muy buena carrera en Europa, es cierto, y he venido una vez solamente a Estados Unidos a pelear. Creo que aquí es donde está la base, donde puedes despegar, donde puedes marcar la diferencia, y es lo que voy a intentar marcar la diferencia.
So fighting out of Valencia, Spain, he is Daniel Tabera, widely regarded as the top mixed martial artist in all of Spain, 32 years old, an MMA record of 12-0-2. They call him Maximo El Gladiador, and a lot of skills here as he brings it to the Bellator cage for the first time.
Well, he does have a lot of skills, but unfortunately it's some skills that his family just doesn't yet choose to acknowledge. He said up until this day he's had 14 fights. His family still doesn't really like his career path, but maybe $175,000 can buy you some nice thank you cards.
Well, he started in karate at the age of 12, moved into some taekwondo, began kickboxing at the age of 16. That later evolved into Muay Thai and boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and now 14 fights into his mixed martial arts career and still unbeaten. Has a huge opportunity here tonight in a Bellator, I keep wanting to say Bellator and welterweight thrown together there. It is a Bellator middleweight quarterfinal. The winner here moves on to the semifinals with $25,000 more. And this is a guy in Tabera. He fought heavyweight Gilbert Ivel to a draw. That was an M1 competition back in 2003. And his last fight against a guy who I am very, very high on from Poland, Mamed Khalidov. I think Khalidov's one of the better middleweights that nobody knows. He fought him to a draw in September of 2008. Looking to get back in that W column here tonight. Tabera just one previous appearance on U.S. soil, a win over Ron Faircloth in 2005. The first Spaniard to ever win an official mixed martial arts fight in the United States, and no one can ever take that away from him.
He definitely looked composed and ready to go in the interviews.
So Tabera will take on a man in Jared Hess, who's also undefeated in his career, from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And for Hess, no shortage of motivation.
I saw MMA first, like a little bit in high school. I watched that first season, and I saw that a couple wrestlers like Josh Koscheck and Joe Daddy Stevens. I always liked fighting. You know, I like boxing and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So I thought it would be a good career to get into. And talking to my parents, they weren't so much for it, but I told them that I had got a degree from UCO, and if I tried this out, did this for a little bit and didn't work out for me, then I could always fall back and have a degree. Being a fighter, some of the sacrifices starting out when you're young is, you're not really making a whole lot of money, and trying to make ends meet is really tough and being sacrificed. And then also traveling and training and not getting to really spend a lot of time with my daughter. She was born June 9th, 2002. Her mother is Puerto Rican, and so she's half Puerto Rican, and she's the love of my life. If anybody has kids, they know. I mean, they're a handful, but it was it's an amazing feeling, to have a little girl that's healthy and beautiful, and hopefully that has the whole world in front of her.
Well, she's certainly proud of her dad getting to this point. A huge moment for Jared Hess in his mixed martial arts career from the University of Central Oklahoma, but the Sooners accepting him as one of their own tonight.
Yeah, he's only been doing mixed martial arts for a couple years, but in the Oklahoma area, he's competed in a lot of events, has a good following out here, and feels like he can ride that momentum into bigger things like Bellator.
Yeah, and he does have a lot of momentum, as you mentioned, Jason. I think that's why he's in our final fight of the night tonight. His last fight came against Jason Anderson. He submitted him with a guillotine choke. That was in January of this year. Hess actually trained by Mike Messina, who we saw last week in the Bellator Fighting Championships. His strength and conditioning coach, Heath Jolly. Does his wrestling work at the University of Central Oklahoma. His alma mater also works out for Team Redline Jiu-Jitsu. Real wrestling background, of course. But the ground and pound also something that he relies on, and he'll be looking to do that, we are sure, tonight against Daniel Tabera. And you can hear the crowd, Jason. The Jared Hess fans have stuck it out here tonight.
Damas y caballeros, este es el último combate de esta noche y forma parte del torneo de eliminación directa de Bellator Fighting Championships en la división peso mediano. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our final bout of the evening, and it forms part of the Bellator Fighting Championships single elimination middleweight tournament. Pactado a 3 asaltos, set for 3 rounds of MMA action. Los jueces son, the judges are Jim Lambert, Nick Atwood y Bobby Higdon. El referee, Jason Herzog. En la esquina azul, in the blue corner, vestido de negro con los colores españoles de rojo y amarillo. He steps into the ring wearing the black trunks with the colors of his homeland, red and yellow. Su peso oficial, 183 libras. His official weight, 183 pounds. Un especialista en boxeo tailandés y jiu-jitsu brasileño, con un récord invicto de 12 victorias y 2 empates. He is a Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner with an undefeated record of 12 victories and 2 draws. Representing Shoot España, Valencia, España, Daniel Gladiador Tabera. Y en la esquina opuesta, in the opposite corner, vestido de verde con negro, rojo y naranja. He steps into the ring wearing the green trunks trimmed in black, red, and orange. Detuvo la báscula, un peso oficial de 185 libras. He tipped the scales at an official 185 pounds. Practica el arte marcial de lucha libre con un récord invicto de 6 victorias y un empate. He is a wrestler with an undefeated MMA record of 6 victories and 1 draw. Representing Premier Martial Arts, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Jared Hess.
Okay, fighters, we've gone over the rules in the back. There are no final questions from you, Blue. No final questions from you, Red. Touch gloves, come on, ready to fight.
So I guess no questions there from Daniel Tabera. The question will be, can he get through Jared Hess tonight? And Hess really a guy that Bellator could build around, but again, a guy in Daniel Tabera, no slouch. Easier said than done here in the quarterfinals.
Well, both guys not only fighting for a win, they're fighting to keep their record unblemished here. 12-0 Tabera and 6-0 Hess. Someone's coming away with a chalk mark on the loss column. I imagine Hess is going to try to set up the takedown off of some jabs, jab cross, not want to stand too much with a guy like Daniel Tabera. Has a strong Muay Thai background. Oh, good right leg kick by Jared Hess. Hess using that left arm there to kind of block some of the knees. Be interesting to see if Hess gets taken down here by the Muay Thai Tabera. Oh, almost.
Tabera trying for some sort of takedown there, but
good. Hess is on top. He just kind of stepped over the half guard there of Tabera and was able to get into the half guard position.
And the audible level in the crowd moving up with Hess getting that dominant position right away.
You don't even need to have your eyes open watching this fight. You can tell who's winning by the crowd. As
nice
Hess
job
moves into
by
mount.
Hess there, yeah, locking up the right arm and getting the full mount. And
Hess,
how about the strength as he just forces him right into the cage?
Yeah, Hess is doing a good job there of using the cage. That's really smart positioning by Jared Hess. Again, got to be able to use that cage. It's completely different than fighting in a ring where you have all that open space. The cage can be your best friend or your worst enemy. If I'm Jared Hess now, I want to turn Tabera's head so that it's pinned against the cage so he really can't move. You see him here doing just that, turning his head into the cage, going to throw down some punches. I've seen a lot of guys turn their backs tonight.
Yeah.
Might want to rethink that.
Yeah, now Tabera back to the front position there, but still not out of dodge. Hess firing away with the right hand.
Hess doing a great job of just dominating. You see him using his left hand to create space there on Tabera and throwing those punches. Tabera turning over, and Hess has his hook sunk in deep. Not doing a lot of damage, but definitely throwing a lot of leather.
Well, if someone's O will go tonight, it looks at least thus far that it could be Daniel Tabera's really taking some punishment here on the ground and pound. You see Jason Herzog watching the action closely.
Good call. I was just going to say, Jason's standing over there telling him, you've got to move before the referees stop this. We give them every opportunity to defend themselves, and Jared Hess in on a rear naked choke here. And it's all over. Jared Hess ups his wins. 7 wins, no losses. Handing the first loss to Daniel Tabera via rear naked choke.
Jubilation for Jared Hess and his family. The crowd going nuts in Norman, Oklahoma, wasting little time in sending Daniel Tabera packing. Jared Hess, a major, major statement here. Introduced to a lot of hardcore mixed martial arts fans here as he makes his Bellator debut, and so far so good, I think would be an understatement.
Yeah, you beat a guy who's 12-0. Nobody else in 12 fights found a way to beat Daniel Tabera yet, whether that was striking, ground and pound, taking him down. Jared Hess put together a good game plan, executed well, saw an opening with the rear naked choke and took it.
Well, we built him as a ground and pound guy. That was certainly on display, but when the opening was there for a submission, he took advantage, and Tabera was tapping the canvas shortly thereafter. Jared Hess, ladies and gentlemen.
Got a feeling we're going to see a lot more of Jared Hess in mixed martial arts. You take a look here at the end of the fight. Jared Hess is using his left hand to create some space there, throw some punches onto Daniel Tabera. And Tabera turns his back. Hess is able to get both of his hooks in, flatten out Tabera, throw a few punches at his head. That makes Tabera move, but by opening up there, Hess throws a bunch of punches and just sinks in that rear naked choke.
Yeah, softens him up with those punches, and you're right, locks in the rear naked choke. So Jared Hess still unbeaten. His parents enjoying that. Of course, not to mention the $25,000, a spot in the Bellator semifinals. We send it inside the circle, Lupe Contreras.
Damas y caballeros, una estrangulación mata León, obliga a la esquina azul que se rinda con un tiempo oficial de 2 minutos 34 segundos del primer asalto. Ladies and gentlemen, a rear naked choke obligates the blue corner to tap out with an official time of 2 minutes 34 seconds of the very first round. Your winner, by way of submission, and moving on in the Bellator Fighting Championships Middleweight Tournament. Damas y caballeros, el vencedor por sumisión y avanzando en el torneo peso mediano de Bellator Fighting Championships, de Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Jared Hess.
And a proud and happy Mama Hess there as Jared Hess moves on in the middleweight tournament. That, of course, completes the quarterfinal action in the Bellator Fighting Championships. Jared Hess making rather quick work there of Daniel Tabera, who suffers his first career loss. So the crowd was rocking for Jared Hess, and he delivered. The winner is standing by with Jason Chambers.
I'm here with your winner, Jared Hess. Jared improving to a perfect 7-0 tonight. Walk us through the end of the fight.
I guess getting him down, taking control of his back. You know, obviously wrestling has helped me control him on his back, getting position, and finishing him off with a rear naked choke.
Well, finishing him off in a fantastic fashion here, moving on in the Bellator tournament. How's it feel?
Oh, it feels awesome. You know, Bellator's gave me a chance to step it up and take it to the next level, and I'm just amazed by that.
And we're amazed by your performance. Ladies and gentlemen, the perfect 7-0, Jared Hess.
So a lot to celebrate here in Norman, Oklahoma for the Oklahoma City boy. Jared Hess is moving on to the middleweight semifinals and a matchup with Yosmani Cabezas. We take one more look at the end of the fight. Hess sealing up the rear naked choke there, forcing the tap there from Daniel Tabera. So Jared Hess moves on, $25,000 richer, has a chance to win another $50K in the final round. So parents are happy, the Hess clan is happy. We will see you next week in Dayton, Ohio. For Jason Chambers, I'm John Anik. Bellator out.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Francis Ngannou. Subscribe now.